Hey guys, this is Jannecke. I hope that you are shining the light that you are. Have you ever felt that you've been criticized in life for something you said or an action that you did, or there was something that someone didn't approve of and they criticized you? Well, I have felt that, and I think a lot of us have felt that during our lives, that we've been criticized. And today I want to bring up this topic and talk about it and how we can actually handle being criticized, because it's something that can hold us back if we're not paying attention to it and if we're not being mindful. And I would like to share what has worked for me, and it might inspire you and help you too. Now, the way I see it is that we have two types of criticisms. The first one is constructive criticism, and the other one is judgmental criticism. And that's what I will be speaking mostly about today, because it's most difficult to handle, right? But the constructive criticism is more of a feedback, I would actually call it. And then the energy of the intention from the sender is more a positive one, if we're going to call it negative or positive, just generalize it a little bit. And the energy of the frequency is vibrating more at a higher frequency, like the energy is higher. And then we can, either take it in and grow from it, or we can say like, that didn't resonate with me, but thank you for your feedback. But the judgmental criticism is a bit more tricky, and also I would say it's wise perhaps to make sure that the feedback, like the constructive criticism, is not a judgmental criticism in disguise, because that can also be the case, that the sender is actually wanting to manipulate you or control you, but is coming forward as this constructive criticism, like, I'm only trying to help you, but actually the intention is something else. So that's something to be aware of, and you can just sense where it's coming from in a way if you are aware. So with judgmental criticism, it's coming from a more negative place. Like the sender has an energy in the message that is vibrating on a lower frequency. And the aim is actually to disempower you, to hurt you, to make you step down, to make you stop doing something you're doing, to control you or to manipulate you. Now, why are we so afraid of criticism? Well, from my perspective, the way I see it is that I feel many women especially are actually afraid of shining their light, standing in their power, empowering themselves, and really step forward, say what their heart is telling them to say, and really be who they are, because they are afraid of criticism. And I guess many men too, we are afraid of being ourselves actually. So we're holding ourselves back because we're afraid of what other people will say. And I think actually that this is like this human trait that deep down, like one of our most core fears are that we are going to be excluded from a group. Human beings have always been in groups, right? We are so dependent on each other, and quantum physics is like showing that we are connected now through this field, that everything is connected. And Leonardo da Vinci, he was saying that learn to see, realize that everything connects to everything else. What happens then is that when we're holding ourselves back, we're actually living in that fear. We're actually contributing to a belief in society that it's scary to move forward and be who we are and stand in our power. So we're actually holding on to a fear. We're actually cementing that fear. Instead of, if we would instead move forward, shine our light, dare to be who we are, and trust our hearts, and say to the world what we really want to say, then we would live from a more place of love, because we are acknowledging ourselves, we're showing ourselves self-respect, and we're actually showing ourselves self-love, because we are shining that star that is within. We're letting it shine as the star it is. We're vulnerable, daring to be vulnerable, and we're daring to show who we are, and that's love. That's like living from a place of self-love. And what happens then is that other people will follow too, because I believe that, you know, we are actually copying each other. If more and more people are standing forward, shining their light, more and more people will do so, and then more and more love will like penetrate, you know, our society. So how on earth do we handle criticism? So this is a process that I went through and that I felt really helped me, and hopefully it can inspire you and help you too. So let's say that a person is saying to you online, this is just an example, saying to you online that you are stupid. You know, that can happen. Like that has happened to me, that might happen to you when you are stepping forward and saying, you know, what's on your heart. People might say that you are stupid. Okay, so the first thing I would recommend that you do is actually just to be really mindful with the feeling, like sit with that feeling. Notice what it does to you. Okay, someone is saying, Jannecke, you're stupid. Okay, what happens in my body now when I'm reading that online? Am I feeling fear? Am I feeling anxiety? Am I feeling a lot of emotions coming up, like uncertainty, like I'm not grounded, I feel dizzy, I can feel nauseous perhaps? Just notice what is going in your body and just sit with it. Do not judge it. Do not try to do something else to distract yourself. Just sit with the feeling. It's not dangerous. It's just an emotion going through your body, or perhaps many emotions. Just be there with it and say to the feeling, you know, it's okay that you're here. It's okay. I'm seeing you and I'm feeling you and I am acknowledging you. Because the emotion can't stay there for 24 hours. Like, you will always shift, like emotions go in and out, just like clouds, you know, on the sky. So it won't get stuck there. You will just acknowledge it. And when the troll comes out in the light, you know, it will evaporate. So when it's really getting acknowledged, then it will dissipate eventually. So that's the first step. Just stay with the emotion. Do not escape from it and run away or have a glass of wine. No, not that. Just stay with the emotion and be with it. Step number 2. Well, this step is all about just neutralizing the word and just letting it lose some of its charge and energy, basically. So let's say someone said that you are stupid online, for instance. What you can do is like just look at the word, you know, don't take it in, just look at the word and be like, okay, stupid. Let's just exchange that with something else. Let's call it yellow or blue or green. Okay, I am yellow. He said I am yellow. Well, it's just a word. It's just a label. That's not the truth of who I am. If I'm yellow, if I'm blue, if I'm green, it's not the truth of who I am. I'm still the same. No matter what label that person says or puts on me, I'm still here. The truth about who I am is here. It's me. I am the truth. I am consciousness. I am not this label. It's just a word. It's just a label. Okay, the next step is step number 3. And that's actually a step that I have enjoyed going through because it just melts my heart. Because from being in the state where one is like, you know, can feel defensive and angry and hurt and all these feelings, all of a sudden that changes. So this step is all about putting yourself in that other person's shoes. So why would a person say to you that you are stupid? Well, clearly that person is saying a hurtful thing to you to put you down, to drag you down, right? To empower themselves by disempowering you, which means that that person is not feeling empowered themselves. They would have never said anything mean to you if they didn't feel small in themselves, if they didn't actually feel that you were a threat or you are taking something away from them or that they are lacking something in their lives or they feel beneath you or they they feel like they need to do something towards another person to feel better themselves. So here we are just realizing that that person who is saying that is actually hurting inside. A person would never hurt another person if the person wasn't hurting inside. And when we see that, we all of a sudden can see that vulnerability in that person, that he or she is not after actually doing something evil or mean. He's actually just trying to feel better, him or herself. All they want to do is feel better, and they're doing that in a misunderstood way of trying to bring you down in order to feel better themselves. And that's just a misunderstanding that they are not aware of, because it doesn't help them. Eventually they will just feel worse themselves, because what comes around goes around. Everything is a mirror, and what you bring out will come back. But in that moment they're not realizing that, and they're perhaps just acting on autopilot, and they're doing something that they're not really conscious about. So that's like the first realization about the other person. And the other thing which is really interesting is that the person would have never called you stupid if they didn't have an issue about that word themselves. So let's call it yellow, you know, back to the neutralization. So when they're calling you, you are so yellow with all that energy, you are so yellow. They wouldn't say that if they didn't have an issue on not being yellow themselves. Because everything is a match. Everything you have a lot of energy on in your life is something you need to look at in yourself. If you have a lot against a person, it mirrors something in you that you have issues with. So if a person is saying that, oh, you're so ugly, or you're so naive, they have issues on looks themselves, or they have issues with not being taken serious themselves. So it all comes back to them. If they would have felt, you know, knowledgeable and secure in their knowledge, they would have never said to you that you are stupid, because they wouldn't have the energy. Like, it wouldn't make sense to say it, because it wouldn't be an issue. And then when you realize that they're actually putting that out to you because they're feeling a lack of that themselves, then that compassion comes in. All of a sudden you see that person in another light, and you feel compassion, like, wow, I see that person is hurting. I see that that person has an issue with that specific topic. You know, I see the situation differently now, and I don't feel that angry or defensive anymore. So I also want to mention in this step, when we're looking at the other person, that in a sense it's all about them and it has nothing to do with you. But in this next step, I'm going to show you that it has actually everything to do with you. So in one perspective, on step 3, it has everything to do with the other person. But if you look at it in another way, it has actually everything to do with you. So I think quantum physics is just something of the most interesting science that I've ever, looked into. I love quantum physics because it's showing us how everything is connected now. And of course, there's many opinions about this, but the way I see it and the way I choose to see it is that everything is connected. We're part of this field, and the scientists are talking about string theory now, and how actually everything that we are putting out is coming back to us. Like, if we have a hypothesis about something, it will actually influence the thing we have a hypothesis about. So we're not neutral observers, we actually influence the things that we are looking at. So the way I see it is that everything is connected, and that life is a mirror, that actually everything that's out there in our reality is a mirror of everything that's going on inside. So when there's a criticism coming your way, it is on a level something you brought forward in your reality for you to see. There was something within you that kind of attracted that to you. And here in step 4, it's very important not to judge it, because there's no judgment here. It's just a reflection of something that is important for you to look at. Now, perhaps you are going to look at the very word itself, like, someone said you're being yellow. Well, if that really triggered you, maybe that's something you need to look at. Is that an issue in my life? Maybe I have some beliefs about being yellow, Maybe I need to look at that belief and work with it and change it. I believe that our reality actually is made up of our beliefs. So, for instance, if I say to myself that, I'm not good all my life, like life will mirror that back to me. So when I get this criticism from the outside, maybe I need to look at that word smart, have I some issues with that word being smart? Maybe I have a misinterpretation in my mind that I'm not smart enough, that I need to study all these books before I can actually say something, that I need to take all these courses before I feel like I can raise my hand. Maybe I have a belief about that I can look at. And what can we do then? Well, we can change that belief, because I don't think anybody in the whole world is not smart. That's actually a belief I have, and I want to keep that. I think everybody in the world is smart. It's just a matter of perspective. When someone is saying over here that, you're not smart because you don't know this and that, well, that's that person's perception, because they know a certain amount of knowledge about a subject. But I know a certain amount of knowledge about another subject. We always know a lot of different things. Why would we say that something is better than something else? And another point to this is also that I believe that we have all the knowledge inside of us. We have everything we need to know, and reading a lot of books makes us smarter, because everything is inside of us. And it's just like a power game if someone's saying that they're smarter than you or not. But it can be good to look at your own beliefs about what you think about yourself. So if you're really triggered by that you're not feeling smart enough and someone's criticizing you with that, maybe you need to do some affirmations and start changing that belief and actually realize that, yeah, you are smart enough, and really knowing that deep in your heart. And how to change that is another video, because then you can rewire your brain with that new thought and change the neural pathways in your brain, and you can do that with affirmations, but that is for another video. The second part of this step is also to use this as a fuel for empowerment. So maybe life is showing you now that, this criticism came into your life to actually make you stronger, to actually realize that, wow, I'm getting a lot of resistance now. I'm getting some negative criticism here. Maybe I need to step up even further. Going and moving towards the energy of love instead of the fear, instead of shrinking down and being like, oh, I don't dare to say anything anymore. No, stepping even more into your power, even more showing yourself that I love myself. I am smart enough. I am blue. I'm green. I'm this and that. That is my truth. I will continue speaking. Thank you for this really negative energy towards me that is actually fueling my power, that star within that just wants to keep on shining more and more. And it's actually in a way a challenge, and life is giving you a challenge, saying, you're up for this, you're strong enough for this. If this challenge wouldn't have come, perhaps you wouldn't be ready, but you are ready now, and more of this might come, but you're ready for it. You're strong enough, and it's time for you to even shine even more. And that's the opposite, right, of what the sender wants. They want to disempower you, but the opposite actually happens if you really turn this around, that you actually are empowering yourself, because you're strong enough to handle it, and you're even more sure about who you are and your message, and that it's okay to shine, it's okay to be who you are, and you are in the arena standing there. You are the courageous one. You are the one daring to talk your truth. And that is power, that is love, and that is truth, being who you are. So guys, I hope this was helpful. This was kind of a long vlog, but I wanted to talk about this because I've had troubles with handling criticism in my own life, but by me actually, not by actually just really going through these steps and neutralizing it and being mindful and then putting myself in the other person's shoes and then empowering myself has really, really helped. And now when I get criticism, it's just the process gets quicker, and I'm not taking it in that much more and not reacting that much more. And I also want to say that, you know, you can, if you want, also respond to the person. Just make sure you don't put a lot of emotions in it. Be as neutral as you can. But you also can choose not to respond. You don't have to respond. And also, I can also recommend that you, after these 4 steps, you can talk with a friend or a family member, someone you really trust, just to go through this process. You can write it down even, just to make sure that you grew through this process, that you were actually conscious all the way, and that you actually turned a so-called negative situation into something positive and an empowered state and situation for yourself. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't before. Much light from Oslo. Bye bye.